Audience. Yes. Good morning once again. Okay. So we are left with for a bit offset and few more clauses group by and pair, and then we have kind of yes. Okay. All right. So let's take a quick recap before we start with the new topic of today. So we have started with SOQL queries. Now, what is SOQL? Salesforce Object Query Language. So we have studied and that. See, Salesforce is a foolproof technology that means it contains both the front end as well as the back end. As a part of front end, we have seen that interfaces, user interfaces, whenever we are interacting with any object of Salesforce, what we can do is we can go to this user interface and we can click over the tab and we could access this object. All right. That's the first way. Now, this is pretty simple thing because whenever we are interacting with user interface, the experience is very customer friendly, very user friendly. All right. But when we wanted the same thing to be in the backend, like if you are constructing a program, and for example, you wanted to fetch the data, but inside the program, right? For example, if you wanted to get all of the data of the accounts, or particularly a particular data of the account, you cannot make the help of front end over there because that's a backend thing. So whenever I wanted to get something in my program from the database, if I wanted to fetch the data or I wanted a specific set of records, then this front end would not going to appear over there, very obviously. So there must be certain way that you could fetch the data inside a program, and that way basically is your SQL queries, right? So we have started with SQL queries, and we have seen how the basic query is constructed, and we have also seen like how we can introduce certain clauses over there. Now, I'm going to start with the next. I'm trying to finish it out by today if possible. Otherwise, we're going to keep certain thing pending for tomorrow. Because see, I'm not in a hurry to complete your syllabus. The more important thing is you should get that much of explanation which actually would require for a particular topic. And that is my way of teaching. I'm never in hurry. Two times in my life, I never in hurry. Either when I'm eating something or when I'm teaching something. All right. So don't eat in very hurry. That could create a problem with your digestive system. And when you are teaching something, if I'm teaching something, I'm not in hurry because I don't know what's happened in that case. But anyways, that's how it goes. So let's now start with the for update. Okay, understand. Now, to understand this for update, you would first of all would have to understand one real-time example. And based on that example, actually problem with for update is that I cannot create a live example for that as I have created for other clauses like to make you understand about limit clause, to make you understand about order by in the ascending. I mean when we have sorted the query result in ascending or descending order, that time I have demonstrated everything to you. We have used Salesforce Inspector, and for few of the times we have used. We have written a program as well, right? The problem with for update is like it cannot be demonstrated. I mean, if you even use this in query level, it's not going to, it's not going to show you any differences. So, for example, if I would even try to fire a query for this, right? If I would even try to fire a query for this, let's say I would be designing a query. Do I have any query? This is called as query history, and it would show you like the queries which you have recently executed. Now, for example, if I'll take this query, I would take this query where I'm selecting ID, name, rating, the value of industry, annual revenue, phone, few more fields is deleted as well, and I'm selecting it from account. And I've sorted them in descending order. I've sorted them. Let me remove this. We don't want it sorting over here, so I'm removing this. I'm removing this. All right. So if I would make this export, the query is executed. The query is executed, and you can see out the results, right? You can see out this. Now, particularly, if you would go and use for update, right? If you go and use for update over here, if I would include this clause inside my query, and once again, so for update is not allowed over here, but I guess I can execute this in the program. So let me try to show it from there. So I'll make you log in into developer console, and we would open that program. I guess we have created a class called database helper, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so I guess we already have a class for this. I just would require to open that. So I would be opening a class called database helper. Inside database helper, we have all these methods I have created. So these are some of the methods. All right. I'll do the changes. I'll do the changes inside of this method. So let me minimize this one. So we have this method, a method called get all account records. And see the query, select ID name and all these from account. And this is a pretty simple thing. We are getting everything out of the account, and we are storing this inside this list collection by default. The return type of every query is always a list collection. So we have collected in that. And then we are printing that the size of the collection, and we are iterating the records. All right. We are iterating the records. I will do one thing. I will do one thing. All right. Let's begin with this one. So for account and then from account and then for update. So I will be making changes inside in this query, and I've saved this. Now let me try to execute this. Let me try to execute this. So I would be copying because that's a static method. Static methods can be called directly. So this is the query which I would be executing. This is the method get all account records, and it is getting executed. If I would go with debug only, I can see there are 137 records which have been fetched, and they are being displayed one by one, one by one. All right, they have been displayed one by one. So this happens like, अच्छा चलो ये एक बात हो गई. Now if I would if I would delete this, right? If I would delete this, for example, I wouldn't include this for update. Once again, I'm saving this without for update. And if I try to execute this, what should happen? What is going to be happen? Nothing, no differences. You go and try to debug only. Again, there are 137 records. These are all that records. Technically, that's what I was trying to say. Technically, I cannot demonstrate you what exactly happens when you give for update inside in your query. But theoretically, definitely I could explain you. Theoretically, I could definitely explain you that. Theoretically, I could definitely explain you that. All right. First of all, let me ask you one thing. Is any one of you is from the computers background? Maybe BCA, MCA, or a computer engineer, by the way? I don't know because I haven't interacted much with you guys. Is any one of you is from the computer background? You can unmute yourself, or maybe you can raise your hand. So nobody, no one of you is from computer background. All right, I'll not ask in that case. We don't. All right, I'm not going to ask that question in that case. But anyways, I'm going to explain that concept from myself. Okay, see, let me try to draw a diagram. I would require mouse for that. Just give me a moment. Let me touch the mouse with this. 1 second, guys. You okay. See, yes. Let me try to show you something. If this is a resource, now what does it mean by a resource? Right? We're going to see this as well. If this is a resource and there are two entities, what is entities? I'm going to have that explanation as well. If this is a resource, this one is a resource, and there are two entities, all right, which requires them. Okay, this entity also requires this resource. This entity also requires this resource. All right. Or let me try to elaborate in a different way. Let me try to elaborate this in a different way. Let's say if this is record, if this is record R1, if this is record R1, and if this is, for example, if this is a program, if this is one program, program one, this is a program called program one, and there's another program called program two. Now, for example, this is record R1, and by the way, R1 is present inside database.com, right? That could be any record, maybe a record of like let's say account record, or it could be any record, could be of any record. Now, there is a program, maybe a program or user, whatever you would consider user one, user two, program one, program two, because we are going to understand something called as user context and system context. Whenever a program is executed, this program or whatever you are creating, right? Whatever you are creating, whenever a program is executed, it executes in two different contexts. What is the context? We're going to see that. We're going to see there are two different forms of context: user context and system context. All right. So what does it means by user context? What does it means by system context? We're going to see that. More importantly, abhi aap log yahan pe dhyan dejiye. So let's consider there is a record inside database.com. There is one account record, one contact record. It could be of any form. It is a record of an object. It is a record of an object inside database.com. Now, let's say there is a program called program one, which is also trying to access this. There's another program called as program two, which is also trying to access this. And let's consider that program one maybe is trying to let's say update something inside this record. All right. Or program two is trying for delete something or maybe insert something. All right. It could be any DML, data manipulation. It could be any sort of DML. But on the same record, and particularly in the same instance of time, on the same record and particularly on the same instance of time, there are two separate programs or maybe two separate users who are trying to perform a certain DML on the same record and the same instance of time. Program 1 is trying to update record R1, whereas program 2 is trying to delete something from this R1 record. And coincidentally, let's see, this could be a possibility maybe in millions, one in a million. All right. That could be a possibility, one in a million. But if there is even 0.0.001% of the possibility, we'll have to make it consider. We'll have to consider. I'm telling you, this could be the rarest situation. But because we are dealing with a technology which provides you everything on a shared infrastructure system. What is Salesforce is all about? Salesforce is a cloud-based technology, isn't it? Salesforce is a cloud-based technology. That means whatever Salesforce is offering to you is based on a multi-tenant architecture. Everything, whatever Salesforce is offering to you, is being shared, every resource of Salesforce, whether it's force.com platform, whether it's database.com platform, whether it's your user interface, front end, I mean the entities from the front end, the entities from the back end, everything is shared between different users. So if, for example, if you are accessing, if you are user number one, your program name is program one, right? So if there are two users, let's say there is a user called as Rahat and there's another user called as Prerna. Now, this is one in a million possibility that coincidentally Prerna and Rahat, both of them in the same instance of time, they are trying to perform a DML with same record. Like Rahat is trying to update a record, and that same record in the same instance of time is maybe Prerna is trying to delete that record. So this kind of situation, this kind of situation would terminate the operation of both of them. Neither Rahat nor Prerna. No one would actually would the operation of them would be carried out. Rather, this operation would be terminated because this would lead to a situation called as deadlock. Now, that I was about to ask when I was asking कि आप में से कोई computer background से है. My question, which if someone would say me yes, तो मैं पूछने वाला था, what does it means by a situation called as deadlock? If you studied a subject called as operating system. So inside in this operating system, we have studied about a situation called as deadlock. But anyways, I was just trying to know आप में से किसका कोई background. Anyways, all right. So अब ये तो this becomes a theoretical concept, right? This is a theoretical concept. Now let me try to talk on a real time scenario over this. जैसे मैं कह रहा हूँ कि this is 1 in a million possibility. But I could even demonstrate you one example where you could find the exact relevancy of this example. Chalo, let me try to ask you one simple question. And guys, please contribute. Please contribute. Let's make this session interactive, right? तभी तो आपको और मुझको मजा आएगा. How many of you have used, or maybe how many of you have booked a train ticket, a flight, or a bus ticket with certain app like IRCTC, Ixigo, Make My Trip, or any other app? Have you ever tried to book maybe a flight or a train ticket for you or for someone else? Have you ever, or let me make it more precise, have you ever tried to book a train ticket, maybe using IRCTC or any other app, that to be in Tatkal? नहीं, ये तो at least I guess तुम में से किसी ने किया होगा. No?
Yes, sir.
All right, Ruchira. So, if you have tried to do that, so I mean, can you explain us a normal process that you have followed that time, step by step? Like you first make a login, then you go to the particular page there, you have selected the destinations, like from
Right.
where you
Yes,
are
yes.
traveling, and you have
First I've
selected the
logged.
dates. Yes, you
Yeah.
have selected the dates, and
Right.
then once you select the date and you make that search, so number of like trains would appear. Then you try to see for a train where the tickets, the berths are available. Then you make a selection. All right. Then you fill up a form of the passenger details. All right.
Yes.
After that, you go to payment gateway.
Right.
Now, what happens from that? वहां से क्या होता है?
So it redirects to the another page for payment and asks for all details, card number, name on the card, and after that CVV. And once we get the OTP, if I enter that, the payment gets successful, and after that ticket get booked.
कभी ऐसा हुआ है कि पेमेंट हो रहा है और बीच में वेटिंग हो गया हमें?
Yes, होता है सर, हो
है
गया.
ना? All right, चलो. So now let me try to explain you one thing. Please go on mute. See, IRCTC में like Tatkal reservations is very difficult to obtain, especially in vacations like right now when summer vacations is going on, and it's very difficult to obtain train tickets. Although there are few of the ways to do that, like you can create a master list and everything. Whatever, there are few ways you can go and you put this. People have make so many of the videos that they'll try to make you explain how to get the confirmed tickets, but sometimes even applying everything of them doesn't work. And that happens with me as well. Abhi, I'm right now in Ahmedabad. I was trying to take train tickets for this journey, but I didn't get. So I just my car se hi aa gaya. It's almost like 850 kilometers from now. I have traveled almost for 20 hours continuously. I have driven. Anyways, that's a different thing. Chalo. क्या होता है basically when you try to book something and you go to the payment gateway. So IRCTC has an algorithm in between that it would wait for a certain amount of time. For example, I don't know the exact time, but I'm just giving you an example. Let's say it would wait for 30 seconds. It would wait. I mean, you booked a ticket, right? And you have initiated payment gateway for that. Now that would wait for 30 seconds. If your whole transaction, like your bank server would respond to your request and the payment has been made against the booking what you are demanding for. So IRCTC has an algorithm that it would try to block that ticket, but for a very short span of time. Very short span of time. So that could be like, for example, a 30 seconds only. Now, if your bank server has made the payments and it would have transfer, like, yes, the payment has been done to IRCTC. So if that whole process in the back end, if it all happens within, let's say, that just an example, let's say it happens all in 30 seconds, the tickets are confirmedly booked for your reservation, otherwise not. Because see, so many people they are trying to, otherwise if they would wait till your transaction, so this is going to hamper their performance. But at least they would try to make it block for certain amount of time. And that's why whenever you are booking a ticket, it's always advisable to use the very fast transaction sort of banking systems. Like you can, instead of using debit cards and all, so that would require to enter the numbers, then CVVs, and then OTPs and everything. It would require you can maybe use UPIs, that to be UPIs of some very fast banking systems like ICICI, HDFC, or some others, right? So these are very, I mean, because they are private bank, they are very more tends towards to provide a service, and their payment gateways are very fast. So you could try with them. All right, these are some of the advisable things, by the way. So how particularly they block that reservation for a certain amount of time. Now let's come to the topic. So I was trying to replicate a real-time example, but I'm not sure how much you have get out of this or not. See, for update, for update. Okay, what happens for? So if you have fired a query, if you are designing a query, if you are designing a query, why I have removed that diagram. Anyways, if you're designing a query, you're firing a query, and you are firing this query with for update, what happens internally? Let me try to replicate it once again. This is that record. There are two programs. This is program one. This is program number two. Both of them is firing a query to get that record. This one is also trying. This one is also trying. This one is also trying. This is trying some different operation. This is trying some different operation. So if there is ever a thread that the record which you wanted to, like, you wanted to fetch the record, somebody else could also ask the record in the same instance. So if your query, if this query, if this program have for update, if this program has a query with for update, then what is going to be happen in that case? कि अब समझो आप इसको, if this program have for update, then till the time the compiler is executing this SQL query. When any SQL query that comes with along with for update, when any SQL query that comes along with the for update, when Apex runtime engine execute this type of SQL query that come along with the for update. So whatever the record, जैसे इसने बोला कि ID, first name, last name, it all getting from the contact. So this record get locked. This record get locked. I'm not able to write it properly, but this record get locked with this program till the time this transaction is going on. No other program is will get no other program will get the chance to interact with the same. No other program can fetch this record till the time this transaction is going on. And how much duration the transaction will go? Till the time the program is in the scope. जैसे हम लोग क्या होता है कि if you have seen that, right? If you have seen that, how do we write the program? Our programs are usually written, like for example, you created a method, public static void, and then you open a bracket and then you close a bracket. So inside in this program, if you have written your SQL query, so this is called a scope of the program. Scope of the till the time this scope is going on. This is called as scope of the program. ये आपकी एक method है. Inside in this method, you have created one SQL query. So every methods are always enclosed within this curly brackets, isn't it? Flower brackets. So till the time the scope, your compiler is within this area, this is called a scope of the program. It would maintain one transaction. So till the time this transaction is going on, this record get logged. And no other than this method, no other than this SQL query is allowed to access this. So that's why we use for update. So typically for update always do a record lockings. For update always is used to make a record lock. But see, this is highly, what to say, if you are using for update, you must always have a very good reason, because this is going something against the policy of shared infrastructure, isn't it? Inside the Salesforce, everything is open for everyone, those who are authenticated users. Salesforce is a shared type of technology where everything is shared among different users. But when you are asking for something specialized only for, when you're asking your portion, this belongs only to me, that is going against the policy of this society. So you must have a very good reason of using for update. So that's the reason, for update is a very rare, but it is sometimes in, especially with the payment gateway or maybe some other kind of program where we particularly wanted that something should get logged for a certain duration of time. There we make a use of for update. So that I was trying to show you कि अगर आप IRCTC पे कोई ticket book करते हो for a certain duration of time, that berth, that seat gets locked for you. If within that span of time your bank server responds to the payment, if the payments had been made, done, then you will get those confirmed tickets. Otherwise, that is being allotted to next someone who is applying for the same, right? So that is what happens in IRCTC algorithm. So that's what is a update for update. Now let's go with the next one, that is offset. All right, I'll show you something once again. See, you have 137 records, right? You have 137 records of account over here. Now, how many of them have been selected? 1 out of 100. Let me try with, let's say, 50. This is called as pagination. These controls in the below, what we are saying, like 1 to 50 is showing, trying to display the count of the records on this page. And there are some button controls, link control, next, and then this is like, there are total to display 137 records splitted in 50 records per page. How many pages are required? 30 pages are required. So that's showing you like, 1 out of. If you would select, let me try to reduce this capacity to, let's say, 10 records per page. So it would show you like page 1 out of the 14 record, isn't it? This is this whole block, this whole block is called as pagination control. This complete block. Yeah. So this complete block from here to here, this is called as pagination controls. Now this have two important things over here, right? This have two. Say if you are on to page number 1, right, and you have selected it, I just wanted to see 10 records, or maybe let's say 25 records. So 1 out of 25, 1 out of 25 is displayed on page number 1. If you would press this next button, you'll migrate to page number 2, page number 2. And then, because 1 to 25 were already being displayed, so now what you are looking over here is not 1 to 25, is actually beyond 25. Beyond 25 is how much? 26. Beyond 25 is how much? 26. 26 to, let's say, 50. If I'll go to next page, it will display me from 51, right? From 51 to 75. So How this is, I mean, this is something, first of all, is called as offset. This is called as offset. This is called as offset. Offset मतलब होता है कि skip करना record. Like if you are on page number 2, if you are on page number 2, so records from number 1 to 25 have been skipped. 1 to 25 have been skipped on page number 2. And then on page number 2, what is displayed is from beyond 25, like 26. Well, I'll go to page number 3, then 1 to 25, and 26 to 50 have been skipped. That means 1 to 50 have been skipped. And then it is displaying the record from 51 to 75. So the number of the record that are getting skipped, is being displayed from offset. So there is a way to do that. Let me show you that. So if I would, for example, I'll fire this query, which is displaying me all the records, and let me try to arrange them order by, let's say, name, order by name. All right. So I have arranged them, all 137 records. I have arranged them in ascending order. I have arranged them in all ascending order. All right. I have arranged them in all ascending. So I have arranged them in ascending. Now, see, right now it is displaying me from record number 1 to the last record. If I would say offset, and then I'll give a limit like, let's say 10, or let me just try to make it simple. So first 5 record, matlab 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6. Let me make it 6. Okay. The first 6 record in a Burlington Textile, customer user, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. These 6 records, these 6 records are going to be get skipped. So these 6 records up to over here. When I would now fire this query, I am expecting these 6 records would going to be get skipped. ये वहाँ यहाँ तक, ठीक है? And after executing this, because offset 6 matlab I am asking to skip how many record? 6 record. All right. Let's now execute this query. See, so data loader 11 onwards has been started. So basically, offset is used to skip the number of the quantity of record that you wanted. You don't want it to display them. So this is what is an offset is about. If you make it like, for example, 50. So first 50 record is going to be get skipped. And from 51 onward, the records is going to be get displayed. All right. If you make it like 100, so the first 100 record, they are going to be get skipped. And now it would display from 130, 101. If I make it, for example, like 135, the first 135 record would be get skipped. And because there are total 137 records, only the last 2 records have been displayed. All right. So that is what is a use of an offset. So where exactly it is used? See, just now you have seen something called as pagination. This pagination controls internally are being programmed by using 2 clauses, limit and offset. Limit is used to decide how many records. For example, if I would say 10, then this would only display me 10 records. That is limit clause. That is limit clause, isn't it? That is limit clause. All right. Here I could show you like, limit 10, order by name. Order by name should come first. One second. I guess I'm making certain mistakes over there. So I'm taking you back. And this is a sequence that needs to be get followed every time. Having order by should come first, limit and then offset. Okay. So order by should always come first. Order by name. From account here, order by name, and then limit and then offset, right? If you would make any disturbance in the sequence, it would going to throw you the error. So limit offset 10. So what would happen? See, it show you like if you don't use this, see, if you don't use this, then order by name, the first 10 records is being displayed, right? The first 10 record from test. अब यहाँ तो ये लिमिट, I mean यहाँ पे ascending order में नहीं है ये, that's the reason. But first 10 records, the first 10 records have been displayed, order by name. So I would remove this order by, अगर मैं order by हटा देता हूँ तो बिल्कुल ये इसके जैसा दिखेगा. अब यहाँ पे कैसा है, more importantly, let's consider this is my first page. The first page is displaying me from A to Z, the first 10 records, right? So this is what this gives you always a limit. यहाँ से जो आप selection करते हो ना, this would always give you a limit. Now अगर आप पेज नंबर 2 पे जाना चाहते हो, फॉर एग्जांपल आप पेज नंबर 2 पे, showing you these 10 records from 11 onwards, right? तो वो कैसे आएगा? उसके लिए फिर हम यूज करते हैं ऑफसेट. तो प्रोग्रामिंग में लेट्स से फर्स्ट 10 records would get skipped और 11 onward record अब डिस्प्ले नजर आएगी. This is 11 onward, record number 11 to 20. So programming mein, whenever we are designing pagination controls, the query always have limit and offset. The query always have limit and offset. Limit typically would decide कि how many number of records you wanted to display. ये देखो यहाँ पे ये fix दिया. You cannot make any changes over here. आपको अगर 20 record display करवाने, you cannot do that. You cannot insert any other option. That could be done in programming. वो आप customize कर रहे हो, इसलिए उसको customization बोला जाता है. यहाँ पे in the configuration options are very fixed. If Mike, I mean for example, if you can display 10 record 25, this is a fixed range because उसके लिए वैसी query बन रखी है अंदर. If the client is specifically mentioning कि no, I don't want it to display 10 or 25, I wanted to display 20 records, so I cannot make any changes over here. Do I have any option by which I could make the changes in the range? No, this whole mechanism is fixed. तो फिर आपको बोलना पड़ेगा no, there are two ways to do that. Like if you go with any one option from here only, like instead of 20 you go with 25, or if you wanted 20 record, so you'll have to design this complete page. ये पूरा page अपने को change करना है. Now we could do this with Visual Force programming, which is an outdated, otherwise Lightning page. And in the Lightning page, आप pagination control बनाओगे जहां पर आप इस तरह से query use करो. Because he wanted to see 20 records, so just 20 records, you can make the changes over here. And then offset would, when he go to the next page, there should be a difference of 20. First 20 record के बाद में when you go to the next page, दूसरा जो record आना चाहिए वो 21 से आना चाहिए, right? So that is what it is. So wherever in the pagination, whenever we are in the programming, whenever we are designing a pagination control, then typically we make a use of limit and offset. इसके अलावा भी और कुछ हो सकता है इसका use, but mostly I have seen when we are customizing this, then we make a use of limit and offset together, right? Chalo. So that was about offset clause. Go with all of the examples. Go with all of the examples where I have done. Now, group by. Let me try to show you something. Group by. So I would fire a query like this. Select rating count. Count is a function, by the way. Like field solve is a function. Count. So count should always have certain fields like name, or आप कोई भी field डाल सकते हो यहाँ पे. तो मैंने name use किया from account group by rating. If you would remember one thing, during our admin part, like we have learned reports. Like let me take you back for this. And probably we have created certain summary reports that time. Summary. Let me try to say something. This is a summary report what we have created. So if I would run this report, so we have summarized this. According to rating. We have summarized this whole records. There are total 119 records. No, there are total Total number of records is something else. Total number of record is something else. But then we have summarized them according to rate. That means there are 119 records where the value of rating is blank, a dash. These are all those 119 records where there is no value of rating is over, right? And then, and then, okay, and then there are 10 records. There are 10 records where the rating is hot. Where the rating is hot. These are those 10 records. These are those 10 records where the rating is hot. Why? Ah, yes, got it, got it, got it. These are those 10 records where the rating is hot. These are the 4 records where the rating is warm, and then rating is cold. All right. So now what do you see in this summary reports based on certain field? You have summarized this whole representation, right? This whole representation. You have categorized them. You have categorized them based on certain fields. Now this is what does a summary report. This is what does a summary report would show you. All right. This is what does a summary report show you. Now in your SQL query, there is also a way to summarize the number of records. You have total 137 records with you. Now, if you wanted to summarize them based on certain column, based on certain field, like here also I have implemented the same example. Select what rating based on rating, I wanted to summarize. Based on rating, I wanted to summarize. So select the first is always that column based on, for example, this could be industry as well. If you wanted to summarize them based on industry, how many of the records have industry as banking? How many of them has industry as, let's say, education or something else, right? Or maybe the first column could be like active status. How many of the records having the active status as yes? You can summarize this based on what? Based on ownership. How many of the record they have the ownership as public, private, something like that. So the first column always represent based on which field you wanted to summarize. And then the second is a function count, and you can use name or some other fields as well. So based on this, from account and then group by. So whenever you are using a group by should always use with count function. And then name of that column based on which you are summarizing your record. So see, out of 137 records, there are 119 records whose rating is blank, right? And that is what we have seen. Rating is blank. And then there are, let's say, I mean, if I scroll it down, I can see there are 10 records with rating as hot. The same thing, 10 records with rating as hot. 4 records with warm and 4 records with cold rating. So that is what is replicated. I mean, these value which is coming over here, there is an SQL query which is getting fired in the backend. And by the way, this is that query. This is that query, which is getting fired in the backend to show you this kind of result. So life is very easy when you are using front end. All right. So for a common man, this is like, it's very easy to, because he is just seeing the records. But we, being a developer, we know what is happening in the backend. So this is, by the way, is that query which is getting fired in the backend to show you this kind of result. 119, 10, 4, and 4. That is what is the use of group by. Right? That is what is a group by process. I'll take this by tomorrow. We're close. I'll take it by tomorrow. We're close. Okay. That's all for today. That's all for. Do you have any questions in your mind? Please ask. Yes, any questions? Anyone wanted to ask? Yes, anyone wanted to ask any questions? Right then. Thank you so much for joining. Have a nice day.